Well, hello, everyone. I am Charles Bass, Senior Director of Alumni Relations, and I would like to say on behalf of my colleague, Kara Marsh-Prophet, who is helping us in the background, happy Friday and welcome to today's master class in LinkedIn, a co-presentation of the USD Alumni Association and the Career Development Center. First, as we here in California and elsewhere continue to struggle with the challenges caused by the pandemic and more, we want to take this moment to wish you and your loved ones good health and happiness. Since going remote last March, we've delivered more than 200 virtual events with many more to come. And I invite you to check out our website after today's program, of course, and look through our alumni-owned business directory and other online resources. And speaking of that, today's virtual program coincides with this year's Hire USD campaign, an effort from the Alumni Association and Career Development Center to build awareness about the importance of toreros hiring toreros. If you or your company has an open position, consider USD first. Learn about Hire USD, related programming, and how to post a job under the benefits tab at alumni.sandiego.edu. And we'll add a link to the chat to make it easy for you to find information on Hire USD. As you may know, LinkedIn is the world's largest professional social network focused on career and industry. It's a powerful tool which helps us establish our professional brand and connect with those in our networks. Today's experts will help you learn more about the power of LinkedIn, particularly in the era of the pandemic. The Alumni Association is powered by our alumni volunteers. This program was the suggestion of one of our Alumni Association board members, Valerie Atisha, from the class of 1994. So a special thanks to Valerie and to all our volunteers. And now it's my pleasure to introduce two of my USD colleagues from the Career Development Center to lead our program. Dee Kylar is the Assistant Director of Alumni Career Engagement, where she guides alumni through their career development and job search processes, and serves as the primary liaison between the career development team and our alumni relations team. She actively recruits alumni to assist with career networking and mentoring, and she plans and implements career events involving alumni. Prior to coming to USD, she worked at St. Joseph's College in Brooklyn, where she executed and led events for programs for the college's young alumni community and developed the college's formal mentoring program for the Brooklyn campus. A current PhD student in leadership studies at USD, Dee holds a master's in public administration from Indiana University, Bloomington, where she taught leadership and international policy classes and worked in research. In addition to being an associate certified coach by ICF, she is a Gallup Strengths and MBTI certified practitioner with an advanced coaching diploma from New York University. And Alex Lowe is the Assistant Director of Transfer, Graduate, and International Student Networks. In addition to career coaching with students, he is the Career Development Center liaison to graduate programs, international students and scholars, and the military and veterans program. He received a bachelor's degree from UC San Diego and earned his master's in higher education leadership from San Diego State. He also is a certified MBTI practitioner and Gallup Strengths coach. And prior to working in higher education, Alex had 5 years of industry experience, including information technology, sales, customer service, and graphic design. Dee and Alex, thank you for putting on this program for alumni, and take it away.
Thank you, Charles, and thanks for the opportunity. All right, Alex, you want to go through the agenda and I'll take it from you?
Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to briefly cover the topics, the agenda. Okay, so first we're going to cover the introduction part, the profile settings, profile photo, cover photo, headline, and how to customize your URL. And then we're going to talk about a very important section on your profile, which is the about section. Then following that, the background, experience, education, skills, and project, organizations, and so on. Then Dee's going to talk a little bit about the recommendations and endorsements. And then we're going to very briefly go over the job board feature, what's unique about LinkedIn job board. And then we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about how to use LinkedIn alumni tool to connect with other alumni. And then we're going to open up the Q&A.
Thanks so much, Alex. So I'll start out by sharing a few statistics with respect to LinkedIn that I think all of you will find interesting. Currently, there are over 700 million LinkedIn users. About 60% of that is men, 40% is women, and majority of them are US based. There are 55 million companies on LinkedIn, and currently over 10 million job listings that are active on the platform. About 3 people are hired through LinkedIn every minute, and remote jobs on LinkedIn have increased 2.5 times since the aftermath of the pandemic. Now, with that being said, I'll start and go over some of the most significant aspects of the portal and a LinkedIn profile. So let me go ahead and share a screen and then share my own account with you so I can kind of walk you through the most important sections. Now, recruiters pay attention to 3 primary sections on your profile, and those are your photo, your headline, and your About Me section. Now, I'll start with your headline. Now, the headline is this area right over here. And it's really, really important that it is keyword optimized and that it contains your branding statement you know, aspects of your professional identity that's most relevant to your career specialty. It needs to be looking visually appealing, and so using a hard line in between the words or a star, you can use the Unicode code text and arrows and stars to make it even more visually appealing. If you're someone who is in career transition, then this is a perfect place where you can put in your transferable skills. For those of you looking for sort of ways to put this together, you can think of maybe, you know, your top 6 to 8 skills and then pick the 3 that's most pertinent and add these here. Now, with respect to your name, previously my own profile, I would have my pronouns right after my last name. But this is actually something that I've stopped doing because it does skew results, because people don't put in DKLR, she or her. They actually want to, that they put in your name. So we don't want it to skew results, so just keep it to your name and stay away from adding your credentials or other designations. This is something that is a missing feature from LinkedIn. So if you want to put in a ticket for that, that might even be useful because that is something currently missing from LinkedIn. You'll notice that there is a way for you to audio record your name. This feature is only available through the mobile device currently, but if you have someone who has a uncommon name, you might find it beneficial to do this using your mobile device. Now, if you hover down here, you'll notice that you can link your profile to your company website, your personal website, or there's an other feature. So if there is, if you have an initiative, a program, for example, for myself, I put a webcast series that I'm hosting over here. This is a great area where you can highlight that. And then, you might have a question of, like, should I add my birthday? And that might be helpful because that does, believe it or not, create for additional engagement opportunities with people on LinkedIn. Now, right on the right-hand side, you'll see that you have the ability to customize your public profile. So if you enter this, it will prompt you to create a personal URL for your LinkedIn profile. Let me go ahead and refresh my browser. Try this again. There we go. So over here, just put your first or last name or something that's as close to your name as possible. And this is really great because this is your own personal, virtual link, if you will, that you can integrate in your email signature or on your resume. Because we can, basically think of your LinkedIn profile as your virtual resume. And as I've alluded to, that other, right, where, that ability to link our profile to our website, our, our company site, this is, or something else that we're involved in, this is the way that it appears in your public profile when others view your LinkedIn. Now, for those of you who are currently job seeking, you can click on Open To and then fill out this section over here. Now, this is a section that, that on the back end opens you up to recruiters. So you would essentially enter the positions that you're seeking, your preferred job location, whether or not you're open to remote work, and then specify if you're casually looking or if you're actively applying for a job. Now, in the aftermath of COVID, what LinkedIn did was it actually created a open to work hashtag that you can, it's kind of a loop that shows around your profile photo, like, as shown here. So this essentially shows all of your LinkedIn, LinkedIn connections that you're open to work. Or you can, or if you're someone who is, looking, but really only want recruiters to know, you might be someone who's currently affiliated with a company and you may not want your current employer to know that you're looking, then you would click on this and it would open you up to recruiters from the back end. And then once you click on add to your profile, what it would do, it would essentially show it over here. It would either have that, if you want to have that banner around your photo, you would get that, and then it would show the types of opportunities that you're looking for in this section here. Now, I just want to say a few things about your photo, because profiles that have a photo, I actually have the statistics here, and which are really important, because adding a photo makes you 36 times more likely to receive a message and 14 times more likely that you'll get profile views. So it's very, very important, and it's important that it's a current photo. So, put something that that reflects, who you are now. Pick something that is in color, not black and white, and something, that has sort of a light background, and also, a professionally taken photo of yourself. In terms of outfit, there were in previous workshops, I've had people ask about, what should I be wearing? Anything that you would be wearing to a professional networking event in your career field of interest. Then you also have the option to set a background image, and this is important because it boosts your branding identity. And here you can get creative. The important thing is that it should not distract the recruiter from the rest of your profile. It should be something that really bolsters your branding. So if you are a public speaker, you might want to put something, a photo of yourself maybe delivering a talk. If you're an author, a book cover might be a good one. A sort of a landscape photo like this one, again, that's light and that does not distract from the rest of the profile. Now, going down, so the third section that recruiters will pay most attention to is the About Me. And here we want to avoid long paragraphs, dense paragraphs. We want this to be in the first person. We want it to be personable and approachable. It's, research suggests that the human eye sees in this zigzag format. So it's really important to, use this white space very strategically so that it's also visually appealing. So using bullet points, strongly recommended. Keywords, strongly recommended. And then, adding your core competencies, your key skills, your technology that you use. Your certifications, and then ending with your contact information, because we do want it easy for people to be able to connect with you by looking at this. So for those of you who are, who are seasoned executives out there, CEOs, it's, you do want to roll up your experiences in numbers. So total number of years that you've been, that you've been in leadership. The size of budgets that you've managed, or the size of teams that you've managed. All of that should be sort of quantified and inserted in this section. Now, I want to say a few words about this number over here, the 500 plus. On LinkedIn, 500 is a golden number because that's when you start appearing in search results. That's when you start getting recommendations in terms of connections. So this is, so it's really important that you start, if you're new to LinkedIn, start with people that are closest to your network. It could be people from your current company, former company, your alumni groups. It could be, the church that you volunteered in, the charities you're a part of, whatever it may be. And once you've done that, and then you can actually branch out of your existing connections. So for example, I can go to Alex's profile, I can click on his connections, and then look to see, if there's anyone in his connections that I'd like to connect with. I could either ask him to facilitate that introduction, or I can connect with that person myself by sending a personalized connection request. And that's another important thing. We definitely want to make sure that that we personalize our connection requests. So on that note, I'll pass it over to Alex to talk about work experience in education sections.
Thank you, Dee. So do you want to?
I can share for you, or if you'd like to share, how would you like to do this?
Yeah, can you please share your screen? Thank you. Okay, the core of your profile, the experience section, experience, skill, project, organization, and so on. I oftentimes, when I work with students and alumni, usually I comment that if you have a good resume to use, your LinkedIn profile is pretty much 80% down already. And because the core of your content, the experience, what you have done professionally, who you have worked for, what's your job title, and how long did you work there, they are all listed under your experience. And so this section can be very similar to your resume. Just a few tips and pointers, more specifically for LinkedIn. So first of all, when you list your work experience, make sure that when you type the employer and not just type it in the text box, but also make sure that when the employer start, the name start populate on the drop-down menu, select the name from the drop-down menu. Then on your profile, the employer will show up as an icon that link to that employer's profile. If you do not do that, and it's only going to list whatever name you type and with a generic icon there. And you don't want your profile full of those generic icons. And so the difference is that for those icons, like on this screen, the icon there is University of San Diego. So if the employers, the viewers interested in learning about your organization, they can just click on that. That takes the viewer directly to the LinkedIn profile of University of San Diego. And on the other hand, if you just have a generic employer name there, and when the employer click on that, and it's going to perform a search based on the keyword, based on the words of those the name of this employer, is going to generate two different results. And so especially if you want your LinkedIn profile to look polished, and make sure you select the employer's name from the drop-down menu. And so for the actual content, and you can use bullet point, and which I personally recommend. You can also use writing in a little bit more like storytelling kind of paragraph format. I've heard that kind of recommendation from LinkedIn representatives. And so now here's a little bit difference between how resume and LinkedIn profiles are used in the hiring process. And typically when the reader's reading your resume, that's usually during the deselection process of hiring, and the recruiter have 300, 400 candidates on their desk for one job, and they just want to scan through your resume very, very quickly to eliminate maybe 80% of them. And so it's very important for your resume to have very concise format, and I would say using bullet point, using those using those the action verbs and the keywords, key skills, absolutely necessary. And for LinkedIn profile in comparison, if the viewers are looking at your LinkedIn profile, that means that they're probably already are taking an interest of you as a potential networking contact or potential employer, and they probably are likely to spend a little bit more time reading your LinkedIn profile. That is why your LinkedIn profile, the description part, can be a little bit longer, which is okay. But I still recommend personally, I still recommend using bullet point format because it's easier for employers to read. And if this person is a hiring manager or recruiter, maybe still looking at many different profile, and if you make it easier for the reader to see the task you perform, the accomplishment you generate, the key skill you use, and that's toward your advantage. So content-wise, I still recommend using bullet point and start with action verbs that directly describe what you perform. And so instead of using like perform various responsibilities such as or duty include blah, 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 and just start the bullet point with the keyword like developed and analyze so and so or organize so and so event. And when possible, and put the context in there and the characteristic of the people you're working for, the purpose of the program that you develop, and any measurable results like increase a social media follower by 30% over 6 months, or organize an event that was attended by 700 plus attendees and generate $50,000 plus fund. And so similar recommendation I would give for the resume as well. So now there's an extra feature for LinkedIn experience session. That's the media file. You can add media files there. And so what to add there? So you can put, for example, in this case, and she links some of her video webcast to her profile to show the workshop she has conducted before. And I know our director put the annual report of our office as a part of media file. And you can also put like the flyer of the events that you organize, or maybe the infographics of your measurable accomplishment you have. And this can almost act like a mini portfolio. So that's the media section. Okay, so now after experience, education, and similar to experience, when you list your university, just make sure you click on the icon that populates. And so under education, now you have the option to add a lot of information like activities and societies. And this is one place you can put student organization, coursework, or projects. And it's optional. If you want this type of information showing up under your education, you can do that. And there are also other dedicated sections for projects or student organization leadership, like volunteer or coursework, and that's under the accomplishment section. As for where to list this, so sometimes when I work with students, especially alumni who have a lot of experience to list, they may be wondering that, should I list my project directly under experience? And I was a leader of my student organization. I did lots of work, and shall I put it under experience or shall I put it under organization? The choice is really yours. Personally, I think that because the viewers see your experience section first, if you feel that this experience is very significant, and although it may not be paid, maybe volunteer work, maybe a class project, or maybe you're leader of your student organization. However, if you feel that this is something you really want to put that front and center for the readers to read first, then I recommend put that on the experience section. So now next part, skills. So as you can see that in these about section, she lists a lot of skill very specific to our professions, career counseling and coaching. And the kind of skill to put under the skill section, I would recommend that, yeah, kind of like what she has here. And so I would recommend put something that's specific and something too generic, like a communication or people skill. And of course, it wouldn't hurt to put that there, but it's probably not the one's going to make the most impact. And I'm pretty sure if somebody's looking for a career coach, and they probably will type for career coaching or like strengths finder or like or like a career decision or interview practice and those specific skills. And so pick the skill that's more specific to your field of work and study, and For example, if you're a finance major and maybe put like a financial analysis, financial modeling, or even environmental studies major, what common ones I see besides like research, and there may be like environmental policy, environmental consulting, and so, and when you see your friend profile occasionally pop up on top of your page, and for example, I may see when I open my profile, I may see that it something looks like a banner asking, does DKLR know career coaching? And be generous about that. And if I click on yes, I endorse DKLR's skill career coaching, and D is going to get a notification, and she may be able to return the favor and add a little bit more credibility to the skill I list there. Okay, so D, anything you want to add about experience, skills before we?
Yeah, maybe just one point, and that is that in the skills section, in terms of these numbers, I mean, getting at least 20 per skill is important because that does show competence in that area in the eyes of like from the thinking from the recruiter's end. And as Alex just mentioned, be generous giving out endorsements and skills so that you'll endorsements for your skills so that you'll also get some in turn. And that's a great leeway into the recommendations portion of LinkedIn, which is even more helpful actually than skills. And this is because with the recommendations, it really validates recruiters' reading of your profile, right? If they can, if they can read testimonials from professionals that are also active LinkedIn members that have left credible feedback with respect to your performance, it really speaks 1,000 words because here, there are people actually tooting your horn, and so. With that being said, LinkedIn has made this process very, very easy. You can ask for a recommendation and by clicking on this. And then once you do that, you would specify, the person that you want to, you want to reach out for the recommendation. Or you can go to that person's profile directly. If you don't have any recommendations, you actually have to do this. You can't do it through your own profile, but you have to go to the profile of the person that you're seeking the recommendation from. And then click on the more drop down menu and say request a recommendation. And once you do that, it asks you to select, you kind of specify your relationship with that person, and then select the position title or the organization that you share. And then you click on next. And then there it allows you to kind of personalize your note to that person asking for that recommendation. And the wonderful one of the wonderful features of LinkedIn is that you can ask for revision. You can ask that person to revise their recommendation of you. And so, for example, when I click on edit, and I go to Johnny's recommendation for me, let's say she's left this before it appears on my profile. If there's something, if I'd like for her to tweak it in any way, I can say ask for revision, and it goes back to her, and she gets back to you. And then you have the option to, activate or deactivate based on which of these you want to appear on your profile. And this is really important, especially when you are interviewing with companies and you are a top candidate for a position. To make that decision, right? Hiring managers, they call up your references and they check this portion, to see if, to sort of validate their impressions of you. So it's important in that sense. And one of the things that I'm noticing more and more frequently, and I've started advising my clients on, is take from these and include them on your resume, include them on your cover letters. It really, takes portions of these and then kind of put them, and there are ways to do it in a really visually appealing, friendly way. So that's kind of something to think about. And now Alex mentioned including media files here. There's a way to do it on a different section, and that's this area right here. So it's right under your About Me portion. Now, this is another really important section that you can optimize for your branding purposes. If you're someone, for example, if I have clients who are in design and who have these beautiful portfolios they've done on ECU or Behance and whatnot, this is a great place to put them and post them. Your resume, definitely, consider putting it here. If you're someone who is an events planner and have a portfolio, again, put it here because, just as in a resume, recruiters spend about 6 to 10 seconds on your profile, and you want to really post things that will capture their attention and really captivate them. And usually, videos, media files are some great instruments for that. Now, I want to quickly cover jobs because I noticed that we received a few questions about the difference, is getting a premium account worth the cost? And you might think that that it is based on what I'll be sharing with you with respect to this jobs area.
The,
Now, yeah.
sorry to interrupt. As we continue, it's possible for you to zoom in a little bit to make the text a little larger. We have a couple participants requesting that.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh gosh, I wish I knew how to do that. How do I zoom in?
I think you can use Control plus key. That will make
Okay.
screen zooming a little bit.
Control plus.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Perfect. I think.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for following the chat. All right, wonderful. So, with respect to job searches, what LinkedIn does is based on your profile and your background, it actually recommends positions for you. For example, it's recommended for me these, and it tells you for which ones. If you have the premium account, it tells you which of these positions you're a top applicant for. So, for example, and there's a way, like there are these little flags that means that you can actually save these positions. So, based on previous workshops I've done, you'll see a bunch of saved positions on my profile right now. So even ones from like a year ago when I was doing these workshops then. But like for demonstrative purposes, let's enter into this. So I can apply for this position through this button right here, and it will directly take me to this organization's, UC Berkeley's career page to apply, or their LinkedIn page. I can unsave this, and when I unsave this, I'll no longer see this in my in my saved job items. Now, when I go down, which is what I love about Premium, because it tells you the skills of top applicants for the position, and then how you benchmark, with respect to those applicants. So 7 out of top skills that, it tells me I have 7 out of top 10 skills amongst all of these participants, and it tells me which ones I have and which ones I don't. And it may be that I have these, but I haven't done a really good job of mentioning them on my LinkedIn profile, because it really pulls this information from my profile. That's why it's so important to have as complete as possible LinkedIn profile. Make sure it's keyword optimized. Make sure you've hit all of the things that Alex and I have mentioned, because this is how it populates and gets that information. It also tells you the seniority level of your top applicants, their education level, kind of give you a sense of how you stack up. And then you'll get also, if you have a premium account, you'll get some inside look into UC Berkeley's hiring trends as well, right? How many people they've been hiring, the company-wide growth rate, et cetera. But the one aspect that I personally really liked is that it tells you who, from your connections, your first, second, and third degree connections, are affiliated with this particular organization. For example, it tells me here that 16 people from USC have worked or are currently working at UC Berkeley. And this is the way to really optimize your job search, right? You want to be able to see who those people are, get in touch with them, engage in informational interviews with them to learn more about the organization, as well as their hiring criteria, timeline, and everything, right, that you want to know. It could be growth opportunities, whatever you want to know about that position. Now, going back to the jobs icon again, So the jobs that you save, right, they'll appear under my jobs over here. And as you're saving those jobs, it'll prompt you if you want to create an alert for them. So, and that's, and that you can access through here. Now, another way to do this is by, for example, you can specify a position that you're interested in, right? You would put that in, and then you would specify your location of interest, and it says no matches found. So I'm just going to go to all filters and see. Let me just remove this right here. Okay. So, and then you can specify over here the criteria that you're interested in, right? Date posted. I usually recommend putting this past week or past month because you do want to see the most recent positions that are available. You have an option to specify additional features. Easy apply means the posting is available through LinkedIn that allows you to apply through using your LinkedIn profile. In your network, under 10 applicants or fair chance employer, I usually leave all of these blank because I would want the client to open themselves up to as many opportunities as possible. If you're interested in jobs that are, in a particular geography, it's a good idea to specify this. But LinkedIn has this really cool feature that when you click on the job posting, it actually tells you your commute time too. So once you hover down, if you have put down, you can set your starting address, your home address, and then it will tell you your commute time as well. Now, let me zoom out a little bit and then show you another important feature. Now, this search box over here is another great way to both expand your network, but also look for jobs or look for content that might be relevant and interesting to you. For instance, we received a question about someone looking for jobs in health informatics, right? So if you're interested in health informatics, right, I would just put this, and what it would do is, once you put this down, now you can look, you can search for health informatics within people, within jobs, posts, or groups. So if I wanted to see if there are any LinkedIn groups relevant to this area, right, it pops out a number of them. And this is really important for whatever area you're in. You want to sort of see and identify groups with, professional groups with respect to that area, so you can join them and then really engage with content, learn about new opportunities, meet new people, etc. Or if you're interested in jobs in that area, right? It tells you how, jobs related to health informatics, and then you can filter down even further by filling out experience level, date posted, job type, and all of these great stuff up here. And similarly with respect to content as well. Again, all the content with respect to health informatics, and then you can see, if any of these interest you, and then kind of look at those people's profiles as well, right? What are the parts of their profiles that they're highlighting? Is there, what are the keywords, skill sets they are using that might apply to you, that you may not have considered before? So again, or you can, search for now hiring, right? If you're on the job market currently, and then you can look at posts, hiring jobs, job search, get hired, all great hashtags, right? Laid off, just putting it over here, and then looking to see. And then again, you can use additional filters based on your preferences and looking to see what pops up. You can look at people that have, now hiring, listed on their profile. You can look at companies and search by groups, etc. Now, I think this is a good segue into LinkedIn alumni account. What do you think, Alex?
Sorry, I was mute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to start answer some of the questions, or do you want to keep the question?
Sure. Yeah, let me then, do we have any questions from the audience currently? Or should I go to the ones we've received prior?
We have 8 questions under Q&A right now.
Okay, so, all right, then I'll start from the first one we received. This is in the name section. I recently updated to include my degree as follows, MBA. Is this hurting me when being searched? I would say yes, it is, because no one will search for you as a Rocio Castrillon MBA. They will search for you as, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, but as Rocio Castrillon. So definitely, I wouldn't put your MBA information next to your last name. I would put it in your headline. I would put it in your About Me section, that I would leave the name as is without any suffixes. What if you have a nickname you're professionally known by rather than legal name? There is, yes, then I would use the name that you're professionally known by. That seems like a lot of information for the About section, when there are other places to put skills and experience. Okay. Alex, you wanna respond, or would you like me to?
Yes, actually, for the lot of information about the section, while skills you put somewhere else. The skills you type specifically for the skills section can become searchable for employers or other networking contacts. Specifically look for profile based on the skills listed. About section is more about giving the quick first impression. So since LinkedIn doesn't really have a length limit, and like I mentioned earlier, when they first look at your LinkedIn profile, they're more likely to have a little bit more time to read. It may make sense to listen under your about section as well. So now about section, that's especially if you have lots of work experience, you have many jobs, and before your readers dive into the details of your work experience, they may want to take a quick look of the summary of your experience. So that's similar to your profile or summary of qualification at the beginning of your resume. The About Me section can be very much used just like that. So now my recommendation is that if you add a lot of skills to your About section, just make sure that the first 3-4 lines would be something you think that's most critical. You want the reader to see right away. And so they don't have to click on the expand button. And if you want to include any additional information, and like if you have a long list of your skill set, and you can still include an about section. If the employer want to read more detail, they can click on the expand button to see all that. Yeah, so that's my answer. So what do you think, Dee?
Totally agreed. Just bear in mind that recruiters pay attention to your name, your photo, headline, about. Like those are the first 4 areas they're going to look at. Core competencies, top skills, I definitely include in my about. Again, it needs to be optimized for keywords and skill sets. What are the job seeking benefits of LinkedIn Premium? I think we've already answered that. Let's see. Can you please describe more about the use of hashtags in our profile? Okay, I'll take a stab and then I'll let Alex chime in too. I use hashtags a lot in the content that I prepare. Because one of the ways that you want to get your voice out there is by engaging with people's content and keep posting things that are relevant to your industry, where you can, you can share your industry expertise. Right, if I'm talking about something related to career advice or job search, I do hashtag job search career advice, because I want people who are talking about those same things, right? They're going to use the same hashtags. I want my content to be visible when people click on those hashtags. And you can definitely Google search like top hashtags on LinkedIn, or hashtags by career specialty. I'm actually, if you contact me, if you're an alumni, you can make a career counseling appointment with me. I'm happy to share some common hashtags based on your industry expertise, so that to help you start using them more proactively. Anything you'd like to add, Alex?
No, I think you are more of an expert than me when it comes to hashtags.
Okay. Does the profile picture need to be 100% professional? Can I be a casual, clean picture showing up close headshot? I think it could be yes. It could be, it doesn't have to be 100% professional, but it's important that it does look professional, light background, close up, personable, all those things that we've talked about. Alex?
Yeah. I think also please be mindful about your industry. And for example, if you work in Facebook and if you wear a suit and tie or like very, very formal attire, that probably look very odd. But if you work for a law firm, then you probably want to have a little more serious presence. So it's all about how you want to present yourself professionally. And so casual, clean picture, and there's nothing wrong about it, but just be mindful about who may be the audience of your profile.
There is someone by the name of Robert said Coda, but I don't think I understand what that is. If
Oh,
you don't mind elaborating.
okay. Actually, I typed answer to the question prior to that. Robert was asking about like measurable accomplishment, like if I'm ranked
Oh,
number 2 rep in the nation or like exceed like 110% quota consistently, how
mhm.
to list that. And my answer would be that can be an excellent bullet point to add for the specific job where you get it, where you have this accomplishment.
Yep. Okay. And then do your offices in USD have a program through which the alumni can request our peers in the alumni community to review and critique our LinkedIn profiles? And yes, and thank you so much for bringing that up, Norris. So we have a professional networking and mentoring portal, which Kara and the alumni team will share with you. It's called Team, available through mentoring.sandiego.edu. That has over 2,000 active alumni volunteers who are actually willing to provide career advice. And in your meetings with them, you can definitely bring up your need to, have your LinkedIn profile looked at and see if they would be available to do that for you. If you're an alum, you're more than welcome to make an appointment with me, and I will do that with you. Okay, I think those are all the questions. Let's see, I just want to make sure we've covered all of them. I think so. All right. So in the remaining time, you're more than welcome to continue using the chat function to list your questions. But we will show you a fun tool on LinkedIn called the Alumni account, which you can use to meet with, to expand your alumni connections. So let's see, university. So, and how you would access that is the way I'm showing you right now. I'm going to USC's institutional page on LinkedIn, and you can do this for all of the organization, schools that you're affiliated with, right? Go to their institutional page and then click on alumni, and then you will see about 56,000, almost 57 even, USC alumni with active LinkedIn profiles. Now, here's where benefit of premium comes in. Because if you have premium, you'll have access to greater visibility. So you'll be able to have access to greater number of profiles here. So that might, and LinkedIn has a 1 month premium, free subscription to premium. And if you're currently actively looking for a job, now is a great time to take advantage of that and just cancel it on the 29th day. Because that, like I said, that will give you all of these, additional features that we've talked about. Alex, you want to take it away and talk about the alumni account?
Yes. So using this alumni search, there are really so many different ways to use this information, whether you're investigating a potential career path, or maybe you're a current student wondering that what do I do with my major, and you can look at our alumni, what they're doing based on, you can filter your search based on where they live now and which company they work for, where they work. That shows that's based on their current employer. And so for example, if you want to see our current alumni, our alumni currently working for Northrop Grumman, and there are 232 people working there right now. And you can also type any employer if that's not on the list already.
So as Alice is explaining, I'll go ahead and try to demonstrate it for you. So Northrop Grumman, and then let's just see, I'm interested in the San Diego location. Okay, so that's 114 alumni.
Yeah. And if you look at other search criteria, and you can select, maybe you want to network with alumni with similar academic background. So for example, if your background is supply chain and you want to look at what they studied and look for supply chain graduate, and there's good chance that they may share some common connections with you, and maybe you're connected to the same professors or some alumni or classmates. And so searching for alumni that has similar academic background can generate a list of people that may be very easy to connect. Other search criteria you can set would be like what they do and what they put under their skill. Like I mentioned earlier, so for example, if I'm a new environmental studies graduate, I want to look for alumni who have background in environmental consulting, then I just need to go to the skills. So I think that'll go like a 2-step to the next. Yeah, what they're skilled at. So if I type under skills, I type environmental consulting, then we'll be able to see the alumni that have the skill I'm looking for, see where they work now, and or maybe I can do a little bit of research that how they get to where they're today. If they were working for an environmental consulting firm, what's their first job after graduation, and what kind of experience they get to lead to their career today.
Absolutely. And it's also a great way to look at the previous places that they worked at, right? Because most likely they have connections there too. And so those might potentially be companies you might want to add to your target list.
Yeah. As for connecting with people, just one tip about connecting with people on LinkedIn is using the mutual connections. So a lot of people have LinkedIn account, but not everybody actively use them, actively check their messages, or maybe some people use their LinkedIn account to for job search or maintain professional contact with people they know, but they're not too interested in answering other people's invitation messages. And in that case, connecting directly may not always generate connections. And so in that case, if you look at the common connection between you and the person you want to connect, you can ask the common contact to introduce you offline. And another thing you can do is to connect with the USD Young Alumni Network. That's a profile actually managed by the alumni relations. And if you want to connect with somebody, you don't have any common friends, but both of you are connected with the USD Young Alumni Network, and you can write a message to the USD Young Alumni Network to ask them if they can make a connection for you.
Okay, I see that we have 3 minutes left, and so and I think we do need to pass it over to Kara. But I see one question here. I think we responded to all questions, Alex. Good for us. But I see one that we haven't touched upon, and that's how often should we post on LinkedIn to keep our LinkedIn page active? And my suggestion for that would be to really put LinkedIn and networking as part of your weekly job goals. I would definitely create some metrics for this. It is really important. 80% of finding a job is networking, and this was a statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics before COVID. So imagine that. So it's really, I would add it to my weekly career goals, and just really make an effort to expand your connections, number of people you're connected with, the jobs that you apply to through LinkedIn, and your number of informational interviews. All right. With that said, I'll go ahead and stop sharing and pass it over to Kara.
Great. Thank you so much, Dee, and thank you, Alex. My name is Kara Marsh-Prophet. I'm the Director of Alumni Operations and Engagement for USD's Central Alumni Team. I'm also a fellow alumna, so from the class of 2004, and am thrilled to have so many alumni with us today. And we are recording the session, so it will be up on our YouTube channel, likely next week after we do some editing on it. So again, Dee and Alex, thank you guys so much for your expertise. We are so grateful that USD has you on our side, and that you're willing to connect with alumni and provide your expertise as well. So I do have a thank you screen at the end here. So here are email addresses for both Dee and Alex, should you like to connect directly. Although I did put in the chat the link to request a coaching appointment from Dee, should you want to do that. And here's a listing of some of our upcoming programming. As Charles mentioned at the beginning of the session, we've hosted about 200 virtual programs since the start of the pandemic at the end of March last year. And we're not letting up off the gas. So there are plenty of opportunities to connect with your fellow USD alumni. Every opportunity is a networking one as well. So every time that you're able to connect through one of these programs, you're able to build connections with fellow alums. Check those out. We'd love to have you join us for more. The next Hire USD program is scheduled for February 23rd, and that is a job search in the COVID era. With Ken Schmidt from our North County Club. And then you can see our other virtual offerings here, our Tiny Torero Storytime podcast, as Dee mentioned, the team mentoring platform, and our alumni Zoom trips and interviews and spotlights on YouTube. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us. Take good care of you, and we hope to see you again very soon. Go Toreros.